Did you know that over 4.5 billion people worldwide use the internet daily, and a significant chunk of that activity revolves around seeking answers, sometimes accurate, but often not? Now, imagine a single source that taps into the collective knowledge, opinions, and even misconceptions of millions. That's what makes Reddit a powerhouse. Yet it's also a wild card in the quest for truth. Welcome to the Mechanics of Money, where we make sense of the most intriguing money questions. In this episode of the Mechanics of Money, we'll explore how Reddit has become one of the biggest sources of truth and misinformation for AI models like ChatGPT, shaping what millions believe and trust. Reddit started in 2005 as a simple platform for sharing links and discussions. Over the years, it evolved into a sprawling digital town square, hosting communities, or subreddits, dedicated to nearly every topic imaginable. From science and finance to conspiracy theories and niche hobbies, Reddit became a place where people share their experiences, ask questions, and debate ideas. What makes Reddit unique is its democratic nature. Unlike traditional media, where a few gatekeepers control the narrative, Reddit's content is driven by user votes, upvotes and downvotes, that determine what rises to the top. This system creates a dynamic, crowdsourced repository of information, opinions, and sometimes outright falsehoods. But here's the catch. The very openness that fuels Reddit's richness also makes it a fertile ground for misinformation. When millions of users contribute, the line between fact and fiction can blur. And that's where AI models like ChatGPT come into play. OpenAI's language models are trained on vast datasets. Books, websites, news articles, and yes, social media content, including Reddit. While this broad training helps models generate human-like responses, it also means they absorb the biases, inaccuracies, and sometimes outright falsehoods present in their training data. A new study from SEMrush in June 2025 revealed something surprising about where AI gets its facts. Reddit alone accounts for 40% of all citations. Wikipedia comes next at around 26%. Now think about that. If you used Reddit or Wikipedia as your main sources in a university report, it would probably be rejected immediately. But today, these are the foundations of the information we're getting from generative AI. Reddit, with its massive volume of user-generated content, is a significant source. It's like a giant, constantly updating encyclopedia, except much of it is unverified. When ChatGPT is trained or fine-tuned on Reddit data, it inherits this mixture of truth and misinformation. For example, if a popular subreddit spreads a conspiracy theory that gains traction, that narrative can seep into the AI's understanding. When users ask questions related to that topic, the AI might inadvertently echo those falsehoods, believing them to be credible. This phenomenon raises a critical question. How much of what we consider truth in AI responses is rooted in Reddit's collective voice? Reddit's strength lies in its collective wisdom. When a community of experts, enthusiasts, and skeptics come together, they can produce remarkably accurate and nuanced insights. For instance, subreddits like Ask Historians or Science often feature well-researched, peer-reviewed discussions that can rival academic sources. However, the same platform also hosts echo chambers, sensationalism, and misinformation. False claims about COVID-19 treatments spread rapidly online, confusing the public and fueling dangerous health myths. Another example is the infamous Pizzagate conspiracy from 2016, which falsely claimed a Washington, D.C. pizza restaurant was the center of a child trafficking ring involving high-profile politicians. Pizzagate, despite being entirely false, spread so widely online that it inspired one man to show up at the restaurant with a rifle, convinced he was rescuing victims. This shows just how powerful online misinformation can be. When false claims are repeated often enough, they can create real-world consequences. When AI models learn from Reddit, they don't inherently distinguish between credible and dubious sources. They learn patterns, language, and associations. So if misinformation is prevalent in Reddit discussions, it can influence the AI's responses, especially on controversial or complex topics. This dynamic underscores a broader challenge. The democratization of information doesn't always equate to democratization of truth. Let's look at more examples where Reddit's influence has shaped perceptions, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. One striking case is how AI models themselves rely heavily on Reddit discussions. When people ask generative AI for advice, whether it's about relationships, career choices, or even medical symptoms, The answers often echo Reddit threads. Community opinions, personal anecdotes, or even biased takes can quietly become part of what AI presents as truth. I've noticed this myself. When I ask a question, the response often mirrors a Reddit post or comment. Sometimes the answer is outdated, misleading, or just plain wrong. Yet ChatGPT still serves it up as if it were reliable information. Similarly, Reddit has played a role in spreading health misinformation. During the COVID-19 pandemic, some subreddits amplified false claims about miracle cures, vaccine risks, or conspiracy theories. While many communities worked hard to promote accurate information, the sheer volume of misinformation still managed to shape public perceptions and behaviors. In the realm of science and technology, Reddit's science and technology subreddits often serve as valuable sources of current research and innovations. But even here, misinformation can slip through, especially when sensational headlines or misunderstood studies are shared without proper context. These examples illustrate that Reddit's influence extends beyond online chatter. It can impact financial markets, public health, and scientific understanding. So, what does this mean for AI and ultimately for us? The core issue is trust. If AI models are trained on data that includes Reddit's collective voice, how do we ensure they provide accurate, unbiased information? One approach is to incorporate rigorous filtering and validation during training. For instance, OpenAI employs human reviewers and safety layers to mitigate the influence of false information. But given Reddit's sheer volume and diversity, perfect filtering is nearly impossible. Another aspect is transparency. If users understand that AI responses may reflect the biases or inaccuracies present in Reddit discussions, they can approach answers with a critical eye. This is especially important for sensitive topics, like health, finance, or politics. The nice thing about ChatGPT is that it can show you where its answers come from. And if you see Reddit as the source, well, that might be a good reason to take the advice with a pinch of salt. Moreover, the community itself can play a role. Reddit's moderation and community standards influence the quality of content. Encouraging credible sources and discouraging misinformation can help improve the overall quality of the data that AI models learn from. Looking ahead, Reddit's role as a source of truth will likely grow, especially as AI becomes more integrated into our daily lives. Its vast, real-time discussions can provide valuable insights if curated properly. However, the risk remains that misinformation, if unchecked, can embed itself into AI's understanding, leading to the spread of falsehoods. This creates a paradox. The very platform that democratizes information can also undermine trust if not managed responsibly. The key lies in balancing openness with responsibility, fostering communities that prioritize accuracy, and developing AI systems that can discern credible information from noise. Reddit's influence on AI models like ChatGPT exemplifies the complex relationship between collective knowledge and misinformation. It's a testament to the power of crowdsourcing, harnessing the wisdom of many, but also a reminder of the pitfalls when falsehoods go unchecked. In a world shaped by collective consensus, truth itself risks becoming a popularity contest. If enough people agree on something, it can be treated as fact, regardless of its accuracy. This crowdsourced version of truth raises unsettling questions. Are we moving toward a system where reality is defined not by evidence, but by consensus? Only time will tell whether this approach ultimately strengthens our understanding, or whether it leaves us vulnerable to manipulation as external actors, whether governments, corporations, or coordinated networks of bots find ways to steer the narrative to their advantage. As consumers of information, we must remain vigilant, questioning the sources and seeking corroboration. As developers and platform moderators, the challenge is to curate and filter data responsibly, ensuring that the truth isn't drowned out by noise. In a world where the line between fact and fiction is increasingly blurred, understanding Reddit's role as a source of truth helps us navigate the digital landscape more wisely. Thanks for joining us on the mechanics of money. If you found value in exploring this topic, consider sharing your thoughts or questions in the comments below. Until next time.